So I'm over here setting up some portable netting around to move the goats. You know, you got to make a bend somewhere that there's not a pole. So you have to put in a pole, and you use poly step-ins, which are awesome but kind of sucky at the same time. They're awesome when they're brand new and then they snap off after they've been in the sun. So I'm sure if you've got any experience with these, you know the feeling of trying to stab them in and you keep hitting a rock, or you keep hitting a root, or the ground is too hard and then you're stomping on it because it's almost there, and then snap. The dang foot post breaks off. So I know you're saying right now, but certified hoarder, how do you run fence across this compacted limestone driveway of yours? Well, since you asked, I'll tell you. That's the secret right there. Freaking $1 million tool. Portable, cordless hammer drill. You just bore a little hole. Sometimes you hit a rock and it takes a while to drill through, or you just move over, pick a different spot, punch a hole, stuff the little steel pin in there, and off you go to the next one. I would have quit doing this by now if I did not own that hammer drill. Now, it won't take you too long to experience this right here. Junk step-in post. The foot pad has been stomped off because it's this cheap Chinese plastic that doesn't last in the sun. All the clips have been broken. Something caused the thing to snap completely away. And you say, ah, dang it, that thing's trash. But not so fast. Not so fast, says the certified hoarder. Not only could you play lawn darts with that, or make a Raphael, whatever they called those little 3-prong Chinese or whatever fighting sticks, you can use this to solve one of your common problems. So this common problem is going to be when you're using this portable net, you might have to do a zigzag, okay? So you might have to do some kind of big zigzag. And the nature of this fence is that it's nice and taut when all the poles are in a nice straight line and you're anchored over at that pole, and all the way at the other terminal end you're anchored over here, and you can pull it tight. And you can tighten it by rotating these poles, so it'll wrap your top cord around. Your bottom one has a swivel, so it won't get any tighter. You spread those, where you stab them in the ground, you need to have your bottom strand taut. But at the upper end, you can rotate to tighten it up. This does not work well when you've got zigs and zags, because these poles just don't have the rigidity to not be pulled over, and then they allow the top cord of your fence to droop down, and then your animals want to cross right there. And the easiest solution is to get you some baling twine, loop it around right there. And this is, I didn't tie it or anything, this is a loop that was pulled off of a bale of hay. You just stick it right through there, you come down and you anchor that thing. And obviously my hole was pre-drilled with my handy dandy hammer drill. The angle that you set it at, it can sufficiently pull in both directions, which is nice. And you know, a lot of people are going to use what I used to do when I first started was I would try to brace with a step in right here. And a couple things, you never quite get the angle right. You clip this pole to that pole, and eventually that clip either flares open or snaps off. Your poles tend to get a set to them, like a bend like that. And then if anything else pulls on the fence, this acts like a jack leg, and it raises that pole up out of the ground. So that pole right there would get pulled straight up. So I've actually had where the corner brace, something down the line tugged on the fence, and this pole would pop right out, and then the fence would lay down flat on the ground and all the animals get out. So doing it this way, there's no upward lifting. There's actually a downward force. Okay, there's a downward force helping to retain your pole in the ground. And then this one, it's a sideways force. It's not trying to lift it straight out. This works really, really good. So I've got it braced, a lawn dart at each end, and that tightened that right up really nicely. The other thing that this piece is good for, let's say you're walking down and you got something arcing and sparking. You got low voltage on your charger, or low voltage on your fence. You got your handy dandy tester, which is critical. I use a speed right, and it's going to tell you your volts and your amps. You want to know both of them. And also a good one will tell you your amp drop. So let's say you're chasing down something that's popping and sparking. You got to have the fence on to do this. Now, maybe you're a mile away from the charger plug, quarter mile, eighth mile, it doesn't matter. You might be a 10-minute hike away from the plug and you don't have a partner and you don't have much time because you got to go somewhere because you got a normal person's life. So you got a live fence and you find the spot and it's pop, 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 pop. It's arcing and sparking right there. The easiest solution is to take a step in and hook a step in on the top and poke it in there, or to lift the fence up and stomp on that thing or whatever. This makes a really good insulated fence adjuster tool. You know, if you got two of them, it's like you can put your hands right on that live fence and not get blasted. And another thing is, if you always keep them kind of laying around, whenever they snap off, you just kind of lean it up wherever your animal are. Whenever your buck is doing something stupid or this goat's doing something stupid, you can whack them. You know, you could reach through and poke them, you know, hey, get out of there, knock it off. You know, don't eat that plant, whatever it is. Or stop humping your sister, or whatever you got to do. All right, so my next tip is where your bottom strand wants to rise up off the ground because of an elevation change. Like say right here, I've got my little bit of a road comes through here and there's a bit of a drainage ditch, and then it comes up and the fence is up there. So if I take this rock up, they'll just go right underneath that. Well, instead of, I mean, you can put a step in or a lawn dart through there, but the fence wants to lift it straight out of the hole, and it's generally pretty easy to come out of the hole. If you put a rock, then it takes the animal pushing hard enough to get zapped in order to move the fence and pop it out from under that rock. I'm not saying this is predator proof, but in terms of keeping your livestock in with the portable net, this has worked fine for me. And now my final tip for this video is on what I call whips or jumper links or whatever you want to call them. So this right here is, this fence is live. That's my main power source. So that handle's got juice in it. You can see right here, that's just a piece of wire. The camera won't exactly focus on it, but that right there is just a piece of wire wrapped around, but it's inside of this blue hose. This is just maple syrup tubing. Maple syrup tubing will hold 10,000 volts, no problem. I can grab it right there. Okay, I can hold on to it like this, pop, pop, pop. It will not hurt you. If you had it going through a little stub, it can jump out and go around a little stub, but in terms of using maple syrup tubing as an insulator, it works fine. You can hold this all day. Now, extension cord does work for a little while until there's an internal crack, and then you'll end up having arc inside. I was using extension cords, like old extension cords for a while, or old Romex, and it didn't take that long for the insulation to break down, and you'd start hearing pop, 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 and it would be one conductor jumping into another conductor internally inside the insulation. If you use a regular, like not a Romex where it's got double insulation, but if you use just a single strand, a single insulated wire, when you go to pick it up, you'll be getting like a 1500 volt, like ouch, ouch, what is that? Oh my God, I'm getting shocked. So that's not sufficient either. For long runs, I do have one like that, but I have to use step-ins to keep it off the ground, because if it's laying on the ground, it'll zap through the insulation. But that will not happen with maple syrup tubing, at least not this blue style that's from Leader Evaporator up in Vermont, I think. I think that about covers it. That's quite a few pieces that I had to figure out over a while. That should put you ahead of the curve if you're starting out. And always mow or weed whack. If you're trying to train a new animal, you need all the volts, okay? You need as much pain as you can get into that nose or that leg or that butt or that tail. You need all the pain. The only way you get all the pain is if you have all the volts. And if you've got a bunch of brush touching your wire and grounding out, you're dropping voltage. Now, once your animals are trained, they don't need hardly any spark. 1500 volts, 2000 volts. If they hear the thing clicking, if they hear it arcing in through the grass, they won't mess with it. They know it's on, they know what they're gonna get. But if they don't know what it is, you have to have enough voltage to make that body turn directions. You know, you got a brand new animal and it's skittish and scared and it wants out. It has to get blasted hard enough to forget about its fear of getting of where it's at, and now start thinking about its fear of getting blasted again.